Hi, this is Dawn Marie, and today I am answering the question, what is covert narcissism? And the reason that this is so important is that while we are familiar with the word narcissist and the word narcissism, we're more familiar with the overt type of narcissism, the grandiose narcissism. So that's the type of narcissist who people look on and go, oh my goodness, that person is totally self-centered, totally self-absorbed. They suck all of the oxygen out of a room, so everything revolves around them. But the covert narcissist is much more of a stealth narcissist. They fly under the radar, and that's what makes covert narcissism so insidious, because a covert narcissist can be married to someone for decades and inflicting on that person covert narcissistic abuse for those decades, and that person not know that that is what is happening to them. They're bearing the impact of the abuse, and the impact is showing up in their lives in different ways, but they don't know that what is causing it is a covert narcissist spouse. If you have not experienced covert narcissistic abuse, then it's easy and understandable that you would go, how can someone be abused for decades and not know that that is what is happening? But when you begin to wake up to covert narcissism and you understand what it is and you hear it and see it described, you know what that feels like and how that goes on for decades. Covert narcissists are master manipulators, and while their narcissism is fueled by the same thing as a grandiose narcissist, so the covert narcissist is just as self-absorbed, self-centered, wants everything to revolve around them. The whole world is there to be their audience. People do not have needs of their own. Their only purpose is to fuel and feed and supply the narcissist. That's what the covert narcissist is experiencing and being fueled by and driven by internally. But how they present is the opposite to that. And that is what makes what they do so insidious, because a covert narcissist will come across as very endearing and humble and into people and loving, and they lack empathy and they lack true emotional supply that makes them compassionate and feel others. But they're great at mirroring. They learn what empathy looks like. They learn what certain emotional responses look like, and they are brilliant at communicating those, at mirroring those, at reflecting those. So they come across as the very opposite to what their motives really are. And this is what makes them so insidious in their abuse, because they're master manipulators. And whether it's a spouse or a team or colleagues at work, people typically do not realize that what they're experiencing is the manipulation or abuse of a covert narcissist until long after. And sometimes it's not until the discard phase, because covert narcissists go through 3 phases: idealization, devaluing, and then discarding. And sometimes it's not until the discard phase, which is when the covert narcissist will just drop people with a big thud, like boom, and then those people realize, wait a minute, how it doesn't correlate. Who I view you as being and what you just did, like those two things don't fit together. And that happens because the covert narcissists, again, they lack the empathy and the feeling, and people who are in their lives and think they're loved and cared for by that covert narcissist are really that covert narcissist supply. In other words, they're there for the covert narcissist to be propped up in their sense of self and that feeling of importance. And the covert narcissist is like a parasite, and they feed on these things from people, but they really have no care or very little care, depending on where they are on the spectrum, for the people in their life. And that is why they can drop people and move on. They will drop spouses, they will drop their children, they will drop people they work with or do life with, and move on and find new supply and new flying monkeys. And so that is why it can be so devastating when people have had a covert narcissist in their life, because people really let the covert narcissist in. They love them and they embrace them. They bring them into their family and their world. And the covert narcissist does not share that sense of friendship or love or bonding. Covert narcissists are very shallow behind their facade. There is not a lot of depth there. And that's painful, because the people that they discard are left going, wait a minute, you mean all of that time, all those moments together, all that shared life meant nothing to you? Like when we were loving on you and you were showing up, it was all a performance. And that is profoundly painful, because for the people who have been discarded, they're now grappling not just with the impact of the abuse over the years that they're waking up to and realizing this is what was happening to me, this is why, but they're also waking up and coming to terms with, so you mean none of that was real from you? That like all that we shared, we weren't really sharing? And that is painful and takes a long time to work through, whether it's spouse, children, friends, teams, colleagues. It is very disorienting to wake up to the wreckage of a covert narcissist. And the covert narcissist in the meantime has moved on and found a new supply, because the covert narcissist inflates their self-importance. They have an inflated sense of self-importance as a desperate measure to keep away the shame that they feel in an acute way. And so they build up this facade to themselves of how important they are, and they build up this facade of who they are to other people looking on. And when that facade starts to get cracks, or when people start to criticize them, so the mask starts to fall and the manipulation is no longer working, bit by bit as things start to crumble, the covert narcissist is like, I'm out. And as they go, they're going to go leaving blame and criticism. They're not going to accept any responsibility for what they have done. So no matter how many meetings you try to have, how many therapeutic sessions you try to have, how many, okay, let's just reason together type of dynamics you try to have, covert narcissist is not doing that, because they will not accept criticism. That fragility of their sense of self cannot handle it. And so they fight tooth and nail in covert ways, and then depending on where things get to in overt ways, they will fight the criticism and they will blame others. Everyone else is to blame for the money issues or the relationship issues or the organizational dynamics or whatever it may be. Everyone else is to blame, and they go and they find a new supply and a new set of flying monkeys. They find new people to prop them up as though the old people never exist. And when they reach back into the world of those old sets of people, it's only because some of those people are still supply. Like some of those people still view them with the facade and the mask, and the covert narcissist feeds on that. But anyone who challenged the covert narcissist, okay, the covert narcissist is done with them. No more of that. And their new supply is now going to go through the same cycle that the covert narcissist put the other people through. So that is covert narcissism kind of in a nutshell. There's so many layers to it. And so over time, I hope to do some videos on the layers of covert narcissism and the cycles that covert narcissists go through, and what covert narcissism looks like in a marriage and on a team and in the parenting dynamic. But I hope that this, what is covert narcissism, that this video answering that question has been helpful for you. God bless you. Bye-bye.